You wake up. You check your phone. There are 5 messages, 2 missed calls, 1 meeting in 20 minutes. No time for breakfast. No time for English. Just another busy day. You rush to work. You answer emails. You talk to people. You solve problems. You finish one task and start another. You come home. You feel tired. You feel heavy. You sit down for a moment. And time disappears. The day is over. You think, I should study English. But your body says, not today. Your mind says, I don't have the energy. And so, another day passes. No English, no progress, just guilt. You want to learn. You really do. But life feels too full. There's no space. There's no silence. There's no time. And slowly, you start to believe a lie. I can't learn English. Not now. Maybe later. Maybe someday. But here's the truth. You don't need hours. You don't need books. You don't need to be perfect. You just need one thing. A moment. A small moment. A quiet moment. A moment for listening. Because listening is the key. It doesn't need a desk. It doesn't need a class. It doesn't need your full attention. Just your ears. Just your heart. Just a little time. Even 5 minutes. Even while walking. Even while washing the dishes. Yes, your life is busy, but your brain is always listening, and if you give it just a little English every day, you will grow. Not fast, not perfectly, but naturally, quietly, and deeply. You don't need more hours. You need more intention, and it starts with one choice. Listen today. There was a time in my life when I really wanted to learn English, but I felt like I didn't have a single moment to do it properly. Every day was full of work, tasks, and responsibilities, and no matter how much I wanted to study, there was always something else that needed my attention. I would wake up early, check my phone, get ready, and start working immediately. By the time I got home, I was already tired, both in my body and in my mind. I would sit down for a minute and think, maybe I can study for a while. But then the tiredness would win. I couldn't focus. I couldn't remember anything. I just wanted to rest. For weeks I told myself, I'll try tomorrow. But every day felt the same. Busy mornings, long afternoons, quiet nights with no energy left. At some point I began to feel disappointed. I started to believe that maybe I just wasn't disciplined enough. Maybe I didn't have what it takes to learn a language. But deep inside, I still had the desire to learn. I still dreamed of understanding English and speaking it confidently one day. And then I asked myself a very important question. If I don't have a full hour, could I still do something small? That question changed everything. Because I realized that even when I was busy, I could still listen. I didn't need a notebook. I didn't need to take notes. I didn't even need to stop what I was doing. I could just listen while making breakfast, while walking to work, or while brushing my teeth. It wasn't much, but it was something. And sometimes, something small is all you need to begin again. Many people believe that to learn English, they need to study for 1 or 2 hours every day. They think that if they don't have a lot of time, it's not even worth trying. So, when they see that their day is full, they just skip English completely. But this idea is not true. You don't need to spend hours reading books or watching long videos to make progress. In fact, the people who grow the most are not always the ones who study more, but the ones who study more often. Let me explain. Imagine someone who studies for 2 hours on Saturday and then does nothing for the rest of the week. Now imagine someone else who listens to English for 10 minutes every day. Who do you think improves faster? Even though the first person studies longer in one day, The second person is training their brain every single day. And that's what really helps. Consistency, not intensity. When you listen for just a few minutes daily, you create a habit. Your brain starts to expect English. It becomes more comfortable with the sound of the language. You don't need to understand everything. Just hearing the rhythm, the tone, and the words again and again makes a difference. It's like brushing your teeth. You don't need to brush them for 2 hours once a week. You just need to do it every day for a short time. And that's enough to keep them healthy. The same is true with English. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need a big block of free time. You just need a few quiet minutes each day where English is part of your life. So forget the idea that learning English requires hours. That's a myth. What you really need is a small moment of listening, again and again. When people think about learning a language, they often imagine long hours at a desk with books, notebooks, and complete silence. They think they need a perfect space, a perfect time, and a perfect plan. But the truth is, real learning doesn't always happen in those moments. Sometimes the most powerful learning happens in the middle of an ordinary day. There was a time when I believed I needed 1 full hour to study English. But that hour never came. I was working, I was helping people, I was living life. And at the end of the day, I had no energy left. So I started doing something different. Instead of waiting for the perfect time, I used the time I already had. And I discovered something amazing. 5 minutes is enough to start. 10 minutes is better. 15 minutes is powerful. You don't need to be sitting at a desk. You don't need to be 100% focused. You just need to listen. You can listen while brushing your teeth in the morning. You can listen while preparing your breakfast. You can listen while waiting for the bus or walking to work. Even during short breaks or when you're doing the dishes, those little pockets of time are perfect for English. At first, I didn't believe it would help. I thought, it's only a few minutes. Can that really make a difference? But after 1 week of listening every day, I started to notice small changes. I recognized words more quickly. I felt more comfortable with the sound of English. And I didn't feel as nervous when I heard someone speaking fast. My brain was learning quietly in the background. I wasn't memorizing. I wasn't taking notes. I was just listening. And slowly, my ears became stronger. I could hear the rhythm of the language. I could guess the meaning of phrases. Sometimes I could even finish the sentence in my mind before the speaker did. These small listening moments became a habit, a part of my day, like drinking water or tying my shoes. And the best part was that I didn't have to stop living my life. I didn't need to change my schedule. I just added English to the life I already had. So if you feel like you don't have time, think again. You probably have 5 or 10 minutes somewhere in your day. You just have to look for them. And when you find them, don't waste them. Use them to listen. Use them to grow. Because 15 minutes a day may not feel like much today. But after 1 month, it becomes something big. And after 3 months, it becomes part of who you are. Learning English is not about having more time. It's about using the time you already have. With purpose, with peace, and with patience. There are many ways to learn English. You can study grammar rules. You can memorize vocabulary lists. You can practice speaking with a teacher or write essays in a notebook. But most of those activities take time, effort, and energy. And when you're busy, they can feel too difficult to begin. Listening, however, is different. Listening doesn't ask you to stop your life. It doesn't ask you to sit in silence, take notes, or follow a long explanation. Listening is something you can start today, easily, gently, and without pressure. That's why listening is the easiest habit to start. You don't need anything special. You don't need a textbook or a plan. All you need is your phone, your headphones, and a few minutes of your day. And most importantly, you don't need to understand everything to benefit from it. You can listen while walking, cooking, cleaning, or resting. The English enters your ears and begins to live in your brain. Even when you don't notice it, your mind is working in the background, slowly learning how the language sounds. Think about how you learned your first language as a child. You didn't start by speaking or reading. You simply listened every day for many months. You listened to your parents. You listened to songs, stories, and conversations. You didn't understand everything, but your brain was learning. That's exactly what happens when you listen to English every day. Even when you feel tired, even when you don't understand the words, your brain is listening, absorbing, and preparing for the future. And the best part is, you don't have to wait for results. You will begin to notice them naturally. Maybe one day, you understand a full sentence without thinking. Maybe you start recognizing questions or emotions in someone's voice. Maybe you respond in English without planning it. All of this comes from listening, again and again. The hardest part of any habit is starting it. But listening is soft. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand. It simply invites you to press play and let your brain do what it was designed to do. So, if you want to build a habit that's simple, powerful, and easy to begin, start with listening. Just 5 minutes a day can open a door, and the more you listen, the wider that door becomes. When I finally understood that I didn't need a perfect schedule to learn English, I started to build a small routine. Something simple, something real, and something I could actually keep doing even when life got busy. I didn't call it a study plan or a lesson schedule. I called it a micro routine because it was small but powerful. Every morning, right after I wake up, before checking messages or looking at the news, I start my day with English. I take my phone, put on my headphones, and play a short English podcast or story. While I stretch my body or drink a glass of water, I let the English enter my mind without pressure. I don't try to understand every word. I just listen. I let the rhythm and the sound of the language wake up my brain. It's a soft way to begin the day, not with noise or stress, but with calm and curiosity. After that, I start my normal morning activities. I brush my teeth, get dressed, and prepare breakfast. And guess what? The audio keeps playing in the background. I don't pause it. I don't stop to write anything down. I just let the words continue flowing while I move through my routine. Sometimes, I catch a word I recognize. Sometimes, I understand a phrase that I've heard before. Sometimes, I miss part of the audio, and that's okay, because I know my brain is still listening, even when I'm not focused. Later, if I go out to work or run errands, I use that time too. While walking in the street or waiting in line, I play short audio clips. Even 5 minutes of English while walking to the bus stop make a difference. And if I'm on public transport, that's the perfect moment to listen longer. No one is talking to me. No one needs my attention. It's just me and the language. And every minute I listen, I'm planting seeds in my mind. At lunchtime, if I eat alone, I avoid using that time to scroll through social media. Instead, I open a short video or podcast in English. While I eat, I listen. I don't worry about understanding every detail. I just let the words wash over me like background music. It feels peaceful. It reminds me that English is part of my life, not something separate. In the afternoon, I usually don't have much time. But even if I take a 10-minute break, I listen again. Maybe I go for a short walk. Maybe I sit down and rest for a moment. And again, I press play. No rules, no pressure, just simple daily connection. And when the day is almost done, I return to English one more time. At night, I lie down in bed, put on my headphones again, and listen to a slow English story or podcast. This is one of my favorite moments because my body is tired, but my brain is still open. I close my eyes, breathe slowly, and listen. Sometimes I fall asleep before it ends. And that's okay, because even in those quiet moments, my brain is still learning. It's hearing the language. It's remembering the sounds. It's preparing me for tomorrow. This is my daily micro-routine. It's not long, it's not perfect, but it's real. And that's what matters most. I don't need 2 hours a day. I don't need to study with books or take tests. I just need small, honest moments with English, spread throughout my day. You can do the same. Your life may be different from mine, but I promise you have time. You have 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. You have quiet moments when you can choose to listen instead of scroll, to grow instead of wait. So don't wait for the perfect day. Don't wait for more time. Use what you already have. Create your own micro-routine. Make it yours. Make it gentle. And most importantly, make it daily. Because those small listening moments repeated again and again can change everything. Even when we want to learn, and even when we know what to do, we still find reasons not to start. And most of the time, those reasons sound like little voices in our head, soft, familiar, and full of excuses. I've heard them all, and maybe you've said some of them too. One of the most common excuses is, I don't have time. But if you've followed me until now, you already know that you don't need a full hour to learn English. You just need a few minutes. Minutes that already exist in your day. The real problem is not time. The real problem is how we use it. Another excuse I often hear is, I'm too tired. And I understand that feeling very well. After a long day, it's hard to find energy for anything. But the good news is that listening doesn't take much energy. You don't need to write. You don't need to speak. You just need to listen, calmly, quietly, even while lying down. It can even help you relax. And when you do it regularly, it starts to give you energy because you begin to feel progress. And progress is powerful. Some people say, I'm not ready. They believe they must first learn grammar or memorize vocabulary before they can listen. But that's not true. Listening is not something you do at the end. It's something you do from the beginning. It's how your brain learns to hear the language, to understand its rhythm, and to feel its meaning before you ever speak a word. Another common excuse is, what's the point if I don't understand? And I used to believe that too. But then I realized something important. Understanding is not a switch you turn on. It's a slow light that grows brighter over time. At first, everything sounds confusing, but then one word becomes clear, then one sentence, then one full idea. And before you know it, you're understanding more than you thought possible. But that only happens if you keep listening, even when it feels hard, even when it feels slow. And then, There's this excuse. I'm not good at languages. That one is dangerous because it's not just an excuse, it's a belief. But here's the truth. You don't need a special talent to learn English. You don't need a perfect memory or a perfect brain. You just need to show up every day and listen. That's it. It may feel slow at first, but slow is not bad. Slow is natural. Slow is real. Slow is how we all learn, especially when life is busy. So the next time those little excuses try to stop you, pause and ask yourself, is this really true? Or is it just fear talking? You have time. You have energy. You have the right to learn. And you have the ability to grow. You don't need to do everything today. You just need to take one step, listen for 5 minutes, or 10, and then do it again tomorrow. That's how you beat excuses. Not with pressure, but with action. Sometimes we think that big changes require big actions. We imagine that if we want to learn English, we must study hard, speak perfectly, and memorize everything right away. But the truth is very different. The biggest changes in our lives often begin with very small habits. Habits so small that they feel almost invisible at first. Listening to English every day may not feel important in the beginning. You might listen for 5 minutes and think, this isn't doing anything. You might not understand much, and you might feel like nothing is changing. But something is changing. Deep inside your brain. Your mind is starting to recognize sounds. Your ears are beginning to adjust to a new language. Your memory is slowly collecting words, phrases, and patterns, without pressure and without you even noticing. That's the power of tiny habits. They don't make you feel tired. They don't ask for big sacrifices. They simply become part of your day, like brushing your teeth or turning off the lights before bed. They are easy to repeat. And because they are easy, you do them again. And again. And again. And that's when the magic happens. The more you listen, the more comfortable you feel. Your fear begins to disappear. Your brain becomes faster. And your understanding becomes deeper. You don't need to see big results right away. You just need to trust the process. Because every time you listen, you are adding one small drop to a very large bucket. At first, the bucket looks empty. But one day, without warning, it begins to fill. You understand a full sentence. You follow a full conversation. You feel something change. And that's when you realize your small habit has created something big. I know people who listen to English podcasts for just 10 minutes a day. They didn't take classes. They didn't study grammar. They just listened. And after 3 months, they felt more confident. After 6 months, they started thinking in English. After 1 year, they could have real conversations. All because of a simple habit. So don't wait for a big opportunity. Don't wait for a perfect schedule or a special tool. Start small. Start now. Even 5 minutes can begin a journey. And if you stay consistent, that small habit will take you farther than you ever imagined. Tiny habits may look small, but their results can change your life. When life gets busy and learning feels slow, it's easy to forget why you started. You listen every day. You try your best, but sometimes it feels like nothing is happening. And on those days, it's important to stop for a moment and ask yourself a simple but powerful question. Why am I learning English? Maybe you want to get a better job. Maybe you want to study abroad or travel with confidence. Maybe you want to help your children with school. Or maybe you just want to understand your favorite movies, songs, and books in their original language. Whatever your reason is, Don't let it disappear. Hold it close. Keep it in your heart, because your reason is your fuel. It's the quiet energy that keeps you going, even on the hard days. When I started learning English, I didn't just want to understand grammar. I wanted freedom. I wanted connection. I wanted to understand people from other countries and cultures. I wanted to feel confident when speaking in meetings or traveling to new places. That dream gave me energy. It reminded me why every little habit mattered, why every minute of listening was helping me move forward. Your dream might be different, but the feeling is the same. You're not just learning a language. You're building a bridge to a better job, a bridge to new friendships, a bridge to opportunities that weren't possible before. And yes, the road is slow. Yes, there will be days when you feel tired or discouraged. But when that happens, go back to your why. Go back to that vision of your future. Close your eyes and imagine yourself speaking English with confidence. Imagine understanding everything in a conversation. Imagine traveling and not feeling afraid to ask for help or directions. Imagine helping someone, teaching someone, or inspiring someone, because you had the courage to keep going. That image is real. It's not just a dream, it's a possible future. And every day you listen, you are taking one step closer to it. So don't focus only on words or grammar. Don't worry if today feels slow. Look at the bigger picture. Remember your purpose. Remember the life you are building. Because English is not just a subject, it's a key. And with that key, you can open doors that once felt closed. So keep listening. Not just for practice, but for progress. Not just for English, but for the future you want to create. Now that you've listened to all of this, you might be thinking, okay, I understand, but where do I begin? And the answer is very simple. You begin today, not tomorrow, not next week, not when your life is less busy, not when you feel more ready. You start now, just with what you have. You don't need a big plan. You don't need to change your life. You don't need to wait for a better moment. You already have everything you need. You have your ears, you have your mind, you have your reason. Start small, start slow, but most importantly, start. Play an English podcast for 5 minutes while you cook dinner. Listen to a short video on your way to work. Play this audio again before you go to sleep. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real. Because small steps create big change if you take them every day. Remember, learning English is not a race. You don't need to be fast. You just need to be consistent. You don't need to understand everything. You just need to keep listening. Because your brain is learning, even when you don't see it. Your ears are growing stronger, even when it feels slow. Your confidence is rising, even if you still feel unsure. So today, make a choice. Not a big one, just a small one. Choose to listen. Choose to believe in your progress. Choose to trust the process. And tomorrow, make the same choice again. One day, you'll look back and realize how far you've come. You'll remember the days when you didn't feel ready, but you listened anyway. You'll smile because you'll see that every quiet moment, every small habit, every little effort was worth it. And it all started with a simple decision: to listen, to grow, to begin today.